Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Already Christianity. For those of you that watch on a regular basis, we appreciate it. Thank you for your support. Those that are going to watch this new or at a later time for the first time, welcome. This is Already Christianity. It's an apologetics podcast. Comes from the Greek word apologia, to give a defense or an answer. We're not apologizing, as we always say, for being Christians. We want to give an explanation or an answer of why we follow Christ and why we look at the world through a biblical lens and why we identify as Christians. And what does that really mean? So this week, so if you haven't noticed already, George is not here. George didn't grow his hair out. George didn't grow his hair out. He didn't wear pink often. I don't know if he does or doesn't, but whatever. I guess guys can wear pink. And that's not his voice.
Yep.
He doesn't have freckles.
Nope.
Or nose. He does wear Adidas,
Shout out.
but he doesn't. But he
Got my
doesn't.
Samba's going on, and he's been rocking them for years though.
That's right.
He's the
Years
original.
and years.
He's the original Adidas wearer. So Davi stepped in. George, his daughters are in town. He has families in town because of the resurrection weekend. So lots on my mind tonight. Davi was gracious enough to jump on in. You know, she's done some of these podcasts with us before. If it's not Davi, it's Maya. They always hold up the
We're
fort.
the last resource, man.
Well, you're the first.
We're the filling.
You're the
filling.
first. You're the first last resort.
No. What is it? No other.
There's an echo.
option?
Is there an echo? Saulo called and said there's an echo.
Invite the wife. That's maybe it's me.
No, he says no. Saulo, say that. That's why you should be
Saulo,
here.
why are you not here?
Yeah, no shit.
Why is this me? And
Better. He says better.
She says better.
Or as Saulo would
I'm
say,
literally in
is
mama mode.
beater.
I'm in PJs, half PJs actually, not yet. Hold
Yeah.
on. Drinking cafecito at 8:30 at night just because it's been a rough day.
I know that's what mamas do. We're gonna talk about mamas. Look. There's a lot on my mind today. This is a special week. We talked about that in the men's Bible study. It's Holy Week, and so this is for Christians. This is the week. This is the celebration of the crucifix, and it's really a celebration. I know it sounds weird to the non-believer. We celebrate on Good Friday tomorrow the death of our Savior, of Jesus Christ, the first century Jew that is a historical figure that lived an amazing life, and we're still talking about him without social media 2,000 years later. And he was brutally murdered by Romans, and that happens tomorrow. I mean, we recognize that tomorrow. It's called Good Friday. It's good for the death of somebody, but Jesus came to atone and be the propitiation, as Scripture says, as Timothy talks about, for our sins, meaning the atonement for us violating a perfect law that God presented to us. And so you need a perfect sacrifice. So there's a lot of theology. We can talk about that. And then of course Sunday we celebrate the resurrection and call it Easter, whatever you want to do. But people freak out. Some Christians like, don't talk about, don't do Easter egg hunts. I mean, relax. We're gonna do an Easter egg hunt for our kids. But I understand there's secular and other meanings behind the bunny, and I've studied all that stuff. But
Age of innocence.
yeah,
Kids don't know.
Yeah, Jeff. Well, look, for us, look, we celebrate the resurrection. We believe it's a historical event. It's not just something that the nuns told me going to Catholic school, or that Christians claim. I mean, it's something that we should be able to believe in. We'd have other shows talking about the evidence behind the resurrection, the case for the resurrection per se. There's been many scholars that have done really good work on that, and I think that's important. The Resurrection Week always has a profound effect on me, and then I want to get into talking about marriage, and because then next month is Autism Awareness Month. You know, Davi and I usually don't put anything up on that because we live with autism all year long. But I think it's important. I think the more and more Davi gets into ministry with Edith and the She Is ministry, and she's made herself available for mommies. A lot of people are talking about, just doing life with a child on the spectrum, and then daddy's not involved as much. I think you're hearing that a lot. So I want to talk about that really tonight.
And at times,
Yeah, talking to the mic, Angel.
then at times also the dads behind the scenes, also doing a lot of the work that we don't get to.
Yeah. Well, we had talked about this. I think we talked to Saulo about doing maybe another Facebook Live specifically about autism. But I want to talk about marriage. Maybe not specifically autism. That's a part of it. I want to talk about marriage again. Whenever Davi's on, I like to talk about marriage. We've been ministering to a lot of couples. Seem to be the enemy is really attacking biblical marriages and marriages in general, because the marriage of a man and wife is the foundation of society. It's the way God designed it. I think.
Rocks.
Well,
Yeah, I mean, and it
married
has,
now.
you
You're
know,
married for a year. We
highs
got
and
18
lows,
years.
ins and outs, and you know, it's work, and we have to put in the work. But I mean, not to say that it's, I mean, it's a beautiful type of work, but you have to put in the work. Otherwise, it's not going to just continue to thrive on its own. But yeah,
So we're going to talk about marriage tonight. That's going to be our main topic. But I just can't not mention Holy Week. You know, I said to the men yesterday in the men's Bible study this week. I used to look at this week. Well, I still look at this week, but I used to, after my brother passed away, August 15th, 1996. 5 days before August 15th, I would think, what was Mike doing on August 11th? What did we do on August 12th? What did we do on August 13th? What about the 14th? Then the day of the 15th, I would always think about what I was at school trying to register. My parents, Mike, my younger brother, Mark, our younger brother, Mark, actually went to lunch. I mean, I don't know if we've ever done that since, before, after.
to Sea Island, right?
They went to Sea Island. Yeah, you've heard the story. And my stupid ass wasn't there because I was procrastinating like I always do, and I was trying to get into St. Mary's. And so I missed it. I missed the lunch, and that was the last time that there was a fellowship in our family being complete. So, and I think about that. Then I think about what was I doing at midnight? And what was I doing at 1 o'clock in the morning all the way till 2:14? And then I look at videos, and I deal with murders when I was either prosecuting or as a defense counsel. I've seen a lot of videos where people step into eternity, and I look at the video, and it's like I know that at 20 minutes and 12 seconds, this person passes on. And then I'm thinking about 17 minutes and 15 seconds, 17 minutes and 32 seconds. They have no idea that they're 2 minutes. They're 2 minutes away.
Yeah.
They're 2 minutes away from stepping into eternity, and there it is. And so this is very. And so when I think of when I think of the Holy Week, I think of on Sunday, Palm Sunday, they're screaming Hosanna in the highest, worshiping, grateful for Jesus, and then days later they're yelling Crucify Him. Because people in flesh that are opportunistic pricks, that's what we do. When somebody doesn't do things our way, so Jesus wasn't the Messiah they wanted. And there's George and I have talked about that in the past.
They weren't fully persuaded.
Yes.
They were fence sitters.
Well, yeah, they for sure weren't fully persuaded. And we, I was talking about that. I spoke to a group of men last night, and I was talking about 2 Timothy 3:14, where Paul challenges the Christian, you continue in what you have learned and been persuaded of, right? So persuasion is a big deal in our faith. So I'm persuaded that this week is the biggest week for us. I mean, as Christians, 2 Corinthians 15 talks about it. Paul talks about the resurrection, the crucifixion. And so it's sobering, I think, to think that God, the second person of the Godhead, left heaven, stepped into our shithole to live a life we couldn't live, to die a death that we deserve, to offer us a gift we definitely couldn't fathom. And all we have to do is say yes to it. And then if we say yes, then our life should reflect the yes. That's a sermon I've been contemplating. Your life should reflect the yes. When you say yes to Jesus, that means you say yes to living life differently.
Everything.
And you say, yes, right.
All the time.
Yeah, well, the best you can, right? We're wrapped in flesh. But you say yes to Jesus changing you. You don't just say yes to Him. You say yes to Jesus
You're
changing you.
all the way in. You're bought in.
So that's what this week represents. So we got to talk about it. I mean, we have to at least mention it. So tomorrow's Good Friday. We're going to go to service. And then we're going to go to service Saturday evening. It's going to be a madhouse. It's sad that everybody comes.
Already though, I mean, last Saturday was kind of the same
Christmas
thing.
and Easter.
It's already, I think it's building up. Like last Saturday it was pretty packed more than usual. The last Saturday was pretty packed more than usual, and now,
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, but it's a shame that people just come on Christmas and Easter, or Christmas and Resurrection. I mean, but if that's a way, maybe good pastors out there can hook them for full time. But with all that being said, so I hope you celebrate Good Friday tomorrow and acknowledge our Savior hanging on a cross for us. And I challenged the men last night, and I say this often, Jesus hung for us, but many people can't stand for Him, so we should be standing for what He taught, how He lived. All that to say, I'm honored to have Davi with us on the show again, on the set.
I'm just here for moral support, my love.
Support what?
I'm just here for fill in that chair and make sure it's not empty. But
Are you tall? Are you taller than George?
That's about.
You look a little higher than George.
That's about it.
You're a little taller.
No.
Just gonna give you the little eyes, pour a little.
Give
Yes,
me
my
eyes.
love,
We're
you got
married. You can
this.
give me eyes all you want.
You-
We're married. It's all legal. So marriage, every time we talk a different aspect of marriage, I don't know if we've ever really dissected. I mean, I talk about it all the time with Davi. She had no idea what she was signing up for. We got engaged after 3 months. Then we were married 3 months later. Nobody was pregnant. Relax, everybody, relax. I mean, but just the fact that you knew what I knew what I was looking for. She thought she did, I guess, but it worked out for us. We still went through premarital counseling with Mr. Holbrook, Bob Holbrook. I think he's with the Lord now. Yes. Precious man.
Oh yeah, he was 80 something.
Yeah, he was precious dude, man.
18 years ago.
Yeah, he was a precious dude. We've been married 18 years.
How long was the counseling, the premarital?
6 weeks.
Okay, me too. Yeah.
Right, 6 weeks. So he's a precious man, but she didn't know. First of all, she didn't really grasp and understand that she was dealing with a crazy son of a bitch, me. That was just
like, yes.
Yeah, just getting out of the tunnel of anger.
You're really there.
Yeah.
My love.
Thanks.
I love you, my love.
Thank you. That I was getting out of the tunnel of hatred and anger. I mean, we come back from our wedding in Puerto Vallarta. Literally the next week I go to Huntsville to witness the execution of my brother's murder and all that goes along with that. And then of course,
it was within days, like 1 week.
I thought it was a week.
It was
No,
like within days. I think that weekend or something. Yeah.
well, it was close, right? Obviously that was on my mind as well. So I'm over there getting married and I come back to this stuff. And that was an experience in itself. And I don't know if I've talked about it on the show before, but we will at some point. And then years later, after I'm dealing with that, being that functioning angerholic, even though I was walking with the Lord, because I was going to church before I met her. I had made a decision to follow Christ, to start studying. I really started going all in, right? And then, but I was obviously wasn't as close or as I am now, but that's been a process. But then years later, then I just put a wrench in the whole operation and run for district attorney, and I'm in politics, and she didn't sign up for that shit, and that, nor did anyone think I could do that after.
Fun.
Yeah, I'm sure. It was interesting.
It's interesting, but I think there was a lot of growth for all of us as a family, for both of us, as individuals, and then as a couple, as a marriage, and all that.
Well, you were a single parent for a while.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes,
practically.
yes, yeah.
Practically you were. I was working 6-7 days a week when you're a district attorney in a county this big. On call 24/7, literally. That's not just a figure of speech. And all the pictures during that season of our lives, I'm missing a lot of them.
I think that's when it hit you, and I tell this story a lot, especially when I'm talking to, either husbands or, moms are expecting more of the husband, just that it had to be a little more on your own. And then, because I knew what you were doing and I know how busy you were and I know the work that you were doing, but yeah, it went from being busy from Monday through Friday to like Monday through Saturday, and Monday through Sunday you were gone. And then that's when he started saying, if you needed to do post, if you needed to do some kind of promotion or some kind of whatever, like media, whatever. And then he'll be like, hey, can you send me a picture with the kids? Or can you send me a picture of all of us? A recent one. He always say a recent one. It's always a recent one. And I'm like, well,
we don't have
a
any.
year ago, a few months
Nico,
ago.
this is you when you were 14, when you were something a little more recent.
And I was like, we don't have a recent one with everybody and you. And he's like, what do you mean? Well, I'm like, you haven't been around. I've been, not in a bad way, because we've still been doing life and doing all the kid stuff and their activities and the birthday parties and the outings and all that stuff. But I was like, well, you haven't really been around to be in the pictures, which I know you're busy and I know what you're doing. But I think that's what, on his own, it just kind of hit him. Like, those are moments that no matter how much I knew what you were doing and I appreciated all the work you were doing on the community, the moments that I can't give you, no matter what, I can't give you back. I can hand to you. And if you see him in pictures or if you see him in videos, you won't be able to have those moments back because you weren't there, you weren't present. And I think that's when it started kind of realizing.
It was. And Davi was gracious about it. My personality is a certain way. And so it's like Davi always inherently knew how to deal with me. Always led me in the sense of, not led me in the sense, she showed me love, which controlled me. Because I was controlled by Christ, and I was submitted to Him. But Davi's not a woman that needs to put anybody in their place, or at least not her husband. And we don't argue. And I never say that to brag. Yeah. She jokingly says this. This guy is a trial lawyer. He's a lawyer. He argues for a living. I'm not going to argue with this dude.
Somebody.
But yet, there was no. I mean, we've had conversations.
Yes, and
but we don't. We
we've
just don't.
learned, you know. I mean,
we've
in the
learned.
beginning, I think I feel like because of your personality and what you have been through, like you were at times wanting that, like you wanted me to talk back to you. You wanted me to, like, you know, raise my voice at you. You wanted, like, I mean, not consciously, but that's what you were waiting for, because that's what you probably either had before, had seen, or experienced before. But I think, you know, once time went on and you knew that that wasn't going to be the way, and then I knew that, you know, then you kind of bugged down and realized, oh, this is not the way we're doing things. Like,
Well, it's a combination.
You know?
You were not. Davi does not have it's called a lighter fluid personality. She doesn't ignite argument, you know, and which is great for me for sure. But then you combine that with my absolute commitment to want to follow Christ well.
Right.
And then when you study Ephesians 5 and 1 Peter 3 and in Colossians as well, in other areas, I mean, when I got the message, when I studied that I'm supposed to love her the way Christ loved the church. Okay, how does Christ love the church? He served, sacrificed, and died for the church. Because in Ephesians 5, everybody loses their shit when you talk about submit. It kind of rhymes, I think, accidentally. But you know, you submit. Submit just means to support the mission. We've talked about that before. It's a voluntary, I'm going to, like, you submit to your lawyer, you submit to your doctor, you submit to your accountant, you submit to your whatever, hairdresser, whatever you want to call it. You support the mission of them doing something for you. And so a biblically minded woman, I was called Davi a Proverbs 31:10 woman, but will submit, I believe, to the Christ in me. I mean, I think you saw, because before your relationship really, I mean, I was toiling with it, and I was so dedicated to loving the Lord and to honoring Him by loving Davi. And loving Davi sometimes meant just keeping my mouth shut, because I can be explosive. I'm confrontational by nature, not by spirit. And so I really, when I got that revelation that I was supposed to love Davi the way Christ loved us, the church, it was eye-opening. And then you combine that with 1 Peter 3, well, I'll give you the NLT translation, the Nico LaHood translation. If you don't love your wife the way I tell you to love her, then don't even bother praying for me and praying to me. I don't want to hear from your ass. I was going to use the F word, but I couldn't. I don't want to hear from your ass. That was eye-opening, to think that God will turn His ear from me if I don't treat Davi the way I'm supposed to treat her. Look, man, either you believe this shit or you don't.
Yeah.
So if you believe Scripture, if you believe that God is real, and you believe that His word is infallible, I better wake your ass up. And it did for me. And not that I ever treated her wrong or poorly, but I mean, just to the next level of respect and honor and reverence. And really, it's mutual submission. I always tell people,
you have to leave it out. You know, it's one thing to believe it and, like, really believe it, preach it. But then if you're truly not leaving it out, you know, outside of your walls, then it's not, you know, like, you got to be able to also present that outside, and that's what people are going to see. And, you know, they can't hear you say one thing and then watch you do another one.
That's right.
So,
well, I mean, and I'll tell you
We're
this.
judged by our fruits. They'll see that, and they'll make their assessments based on what
Well,
they
James
see.
1:22 talks about that too. Don't just hear the word, do what it says. And so I can tell you though, but Davi never, even though it was crazy times, Michael was early on, so we were learning how to. We were early on in walking with a child on the spectrum. And it was never a bitch session. I never came home to turmoil. You know, it was never complaining. Never complaining. I mean, when people say thank you so much for your service, I always, don't thank me, thank my wife. I mean, seriously, because I at least, of all the shit that I was dealing with, and all the backstabbers, all the fake ass people, the evil, the conniving people, the treachery. I mean, there's treachery out there. I sensed evil. I mean, I was around it. Not just what I dealt with. I still deal with it. I mean, that's fine. I'm talking about the people that were close around in the political circles. That mean evil. People that really
pretty fast.
Yeah, they turn on you. They wish harm on you, but they'll smile in your face. You know, and I just and to know that I could come home to peace. You know, some people in public service or public figures, I mean, they come home to turmoil. And so, but I say all that to say that shit, she didn't know she was signing up for that. I didn't even know I was signing up for that. I had no intentions. How do you run for DA when you've been when you've been arrested for selling drugs in the same town that you want to be DA in.
And I don't think we knew what the extent of it was. You know, how much it was really going to test our faith, test our family, test our relationship, test, like, you know, there were just little tests here and there all the time. And it just kept getting like a bigger and bigger and more and more. And, you know, I don't think we knew where that was going to go. And I feel like it just made us stronger.
It did. No doubt about that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, so the Lord pulled me out of that. And I didn't like the way he did it, but he did it, and he's God, and I'm not, you know, who am I to question him? But I guess
it was really awesome to see as well. Just your complete, like, I mean, again, peace or surrendering to, you know, to God's will after that term. And just, you could just see it. As much as it was hard for us to watch you as a family, you know, I wanted you home, of course, selflessly, but, you know, I knew you were doing a great job. But then when that came to an end, it was hurtful to me. You know, it's just, you know, how much work you put into it and all the family around as well and everybody that supported you. But just the way that you took it, and it was just so, you know, okay, the Lord says, I'm done with this. Let's move on, and what's next? You know, and we're like, all right, then there's no question, you know?
Well, you know, Chula, she's never said that to me before. It's the first time I've heard that. Thank you. But that's what leading a family. I thank you. I mean, that's what I wanted to come across as, because inside it was different for me. I mean, there was things I never shared with you, not because I hold it from you, because as a husband, you have to guard your wife's heart and her mind. You have to guard her heart from you, first of all, before you guard her heart from anybody else. But you have to guard her mind. I mean, you know, starting over at 40-something years old, for zero, you know, leaving public office to private practice, people thought that they could turn on you and thinking you don't have the bully pulpit anymore. So you see who your real friends are. But you also see who your real character, your own character. And I just said, Lord, I want to honor you in all this. I just kept talking to the Lord. Help me honor you today. Help me honor you today. Help me honor you today. And then before you know it, you have 100 days under your belt. It's like, shit, I got 100 days of honoring God. And some days it involved me getting fired up. Other days it required me staying calm when everybody else is losing their shit. Yep. And I am the one that has to be calm, and I'm not, you know.
That's not what comes natural to you.
Naturally, I'm a little bit.
That's not your natural habitat. How about that?
I'm excitable.
Yes. But you know, but again, that's when we got to see a lot more of your trust and just surrendering, because, you know, as much as you would, even though, like, again, you're saying that right now, even though inside you weren't, you know, completely at peace at times, or you had whatever, all these thoughts, just seeing it and the way you handle it, it was just, you know, it was comforting to us as a family as well. I mean, even though we knew it was a little crazy time right after.
Well, you know, and we leave out this part. I'm talking about it more and more. You know, 7 months into DA's, I was diagnosed with a tumor. So I'm in this new job, thinking I'm honoring God, trusting the Lord. And then I hear that you got this tumor, you know, this malignant tumor. I didn't let them biopsy it, but I just talk about that journey. You know, you're pregnant with Zyther at the time. I remember coming home telling her, I was like, Jill, I have a mass, and she was, what does that mean?
Yeah.
I was like, hold on. I'm like, it's not time for that. We're barely getting through you just got into office. How's that going to be? How's that going to change? You know, and then
and I remember, and Davi's not a freak out chick, you know. I mean, she's not overly dramatic. I mean, she's appropriate. She's realistic, but with an optimistic slant, for sure. But I mean, you know, she's already, you know, emotions because she's pregnant. She's, you know, with Zyther. And it was a challenging time of a lot of research. Hosea 4:6 says, my people perish for lack of knowledge. You can tell her I didn't sleep for weeks because I knew that my decision did not just affect me, but my family. And so I, you know, said no to the treatments.
Yeah, and I mean, it's just three little ones and one on the way, and they were all little.
I mean, I actually thought of, you know, her raising the kids by herself, and I said, Lord, that's not what I want.
Yeah.
I said, if that's what you want, then there's nothing I can do. So I need to honor you in my leaving of this earth. I mean, that's you have to have that conversation with yourself.
And I was like, no.
Well, I didn't say it to you.
I know, but I mean, I said, even thinking about it.
But
if there's another way.
Well, I mean, if there is.
Right. You know?
But here's the deal. You have to hand God over your best.
Yep.
I think a lot of people make decisions and they're not necessarily God ordained decisions. Everybody's got to make it your own body. But I did my research. Ignorance was not bliss; it was dangerous in my circumstance. And I made decisions, and I said I'm going to go natural. The body's designed to heal.
That's right.
And I said no to everything. I let them remove the mass, but I didn't let them poke at it and prob at it and radiate it and all that shit. And 8.5 years later, praise God, Yep. So I remember telling God, I said, Lord, I'm going to give you my best. And if I give you my best and you still call me home, then I know you'll take care of my family and I'll see them later. But I'm still going to give you my best. So, but I bring that up to say that Davi went through all of that, that with me from the I'm supposed to only be in San Antonio for a year. And then I'm going to go on my traveling spree because she loves to travel. And then she marries a dude that doesn't, travel much. That God has a sense of humor.
Just pray for me on that one, guys.
He's like a recluse.
I'm a creature of habit. We'll do more.
I'm a recluse too. I'm just like, I just worked all day. Can I just hang out for a second?
Nah, that's not, her whole family's the same way.
Yeah.
But just the whole, everything. I mean, you couldn't have prepared for it. There's no way you could have prepared for it. And then what I think has been beautiful and I think has really blessed our marriage tremendously is your own relationship with Christ. And I've seen it and I'm very proud of it. She grew up Catholic. Yep. They didn't go to mass, but they just had this traditional Mexican Catholic.
I went to Catholic school for like 12 years.
Yeah, Catholic school.
So.
But you were a godly woman.
Yes, I mean that was
your worldview was biblical.
Right.
But you didn't have a relationship with Christ.
It was more of a disciplined relationship type of deal, kind of like why I shouldn't, why I should, and then. Yeah. But we didn't grow up going to church specifically, but.
But you weren't taught that you could have a relationship with Christ either, which I mean that's very normal in Mexico. Mm. But it's been neat, and I knew because I was passionate for the Lord, and I really wanted Davi to be there with me. But I knew one thing I'm glad I submitted to. I mean, I'm out there advocating for biblical ideas, and I'm whatever opportunity arises, whether it's prison ministry, a halfway house, when I was in office, or a men's group or a men's conference. But then at home, I knew, and I'm so glad I submitted to Christ on this. I couldn't push it on you. I just knew it. Because if I wanted it to be organic, if I wanted it to be genuine, it had to be from her. Yeah. All I could do is model it for you. That's all I said. Just model it. Just model it. Model it. That's all I kept thinking. I had to remind myself because I'm like, what the hell's taking so long? Well, for me, it really was. That's what I thought in my mind. But it's been beautiful to see. I mean, it's
and it was just like the relationship. I mean, the relationship has been there for a long time. It wasn't as, I think, noticeable. Maybe just going through life as a new wife, as a new mom, and a bunch of little kids, and then the one with special needs, and then just kind of that all consumes you. That even though as much as you wanted to be intentional about your relationship with Christ and being present in that was kind of put aside at times for me, not that I didn't want it, but everything else was taking my time, which now I feel like I need that to be able to do the rest of it.
That's good. That's a word right there, man. That's a word right there. That's good. And it's beautiful. Davi and I encourage other couples to do this. George and Stephanie, George suggested this. I think someone that really he respects a lot, they suggested this to him. But we do prayer fasts at the beginning of the year. At the beginning of every year, we've been doing this for years now, is the whole month of January, we pray every night. And then, for the year. Well, not this year, last year, in the middle of January, I kicking and screaming, I felt like the Holy Spirit put on my heart, just say it, you dumbass. And I said out loud to Davi when we were praying one night, I said, Chula, I think we're supposed to pray all year together. And she goes, okay. And I was like, shit. I mean, not that I don't want to pray. I'm going to pray every day, but that's a commitment.
I know, but
that's a commitment. I mean, it's a commitment because I don't want to just be flippant about it. And we prayed every day together last year, literally. I mean, at 2 a.m, I'll come in if I fall asleep with the kids, and we're half-assed, but we're praying, and she'll nudge me even now sometimes. Chulo, you didn't finish the prayer. In Jesus' name, because I'll start and I'll fall asleep during the prayer if it's at 3 a.m. or at 1 o'clock or whatever. If I'm with the kids, I put them down and she's over here, and we make it a point to pray. And then how do you start I think this is gonna be it because
Yes.
how do you start praying every day and then 1 year go, screw it, I'm not gonna pray every day anymore. Now we're not militant. I mean, we're diligent about it. We're not going to be religious about it. Militant about it in the sense that sometimes you fall asleep or I'll fall asleep. And there's been times I've come down from the
Sleeping
kids.
patterns in this house are very
odd. Well,
yes, it doesn't happen much, but yeah. But it's good. I mean, but even then, just being able to pray together and just going through it and thinking of the people, either situations or persons that we're praying for,
We're praying
or
with people we pray for every night.
and then just knowing that you go to bed with that in your heart and waking up, that like that thought's still there, and it gives you so much more, either peace, encouragement for the rest of the day. So
I always make the mistake of putting my prayers on pause. I'll start, I'm like 20 seconds in, get a random thought, get distracted, do something for 5 minutes. Oh yeah, sorry. Anyways, Lord.
Yeah, when we start, and every night's a little different.
That's ceasing. That's what that means.
Some prayers
there you
are
go. I'm back at it.
some prayers are 3 minutes and some prayers are 23 minutes. It just depends on what's going on that day. Lately, I guess we'll talk about Michael. Lately, Michael's had some really rough. He's in a rough season again.
Is this season? I think it's just a combination of, environmental and just transition and the age and hormonal and so many like little factors that right now are going on that we just can't pinpoint one. But it's been hard, and that's what I said. Today was a hard day. Again, I had a little moment when I got a little, lymphatic massage that felt so good. And then right after, they've been calling me from school, and he just had hard days. It's been between, like I said, and because he's not able to explain to me what's going on and what's hurting him and stuff, but you physically see it. Like you can see his pain, you can see his emotions, but you're not able to pinpoint where it's coming from. It's really hard, and it kind of, yeah. But.
Yeah. It is challenging. I mean, look, living, and again, I guess we can save this for our live with Saulo and maybe and Edith about that, because it's
Yeah.
a lot of look in a family with a child on the spectrum of autism, there's an 85% divorce rate. I mean, it's high, maybe even higher now. I mean, I've heard 90, I've heard 85. It's really high, and the reason why I think a couple things is, and we'll talk about this again, but autism becomes your identity.
Yeah.
I mean, everything, and people know our opinion. We don't believe Michael was born that way. We believe he's vaccine injured. And he wasn't, he was. I mean, I don't give a shit who likes it or not, but that's just the way it is. And we've had to deal with that. And I've had to deal with that in forgiving the pharmaceutical companies and forgiving doctors and forgiving myself. And, I question experts for a living, and I didn't do that when it came to my own children, and it's something that I still toil with, I think. And I just have to talk to the Lord about. But there's things that come along with raising a child on the spectrum of autism. I mean, there's meltdowns, there's sleepless nights, there's money involved with it because you're doing different therapies, and you have to think about things. There's a loss of spontaneity because you can't just pick up and go, because you have to plan. There's strategies in a home and where there's locks, and there's bite marks, there's scratches, there's hair pulling. There's just no. There is the relinquishing, and it is what it is. There's the relinquishing of the joy, or the process of your golden years. You have to hand it over to God. You have to say to yourself, "Well, we're not going to have our golden years." And that's just the way it is, and you just have to know that we're playing for eternity. We're going to have eternal years, right? Not golden years. And it's our responsibility.
My love, that might be super golden.
Yes, where?
I'm just saying they might be super golden
Yeah,
with
God
him
can
by
still
herself.
make them, sure.
Like it's just because at the same time, yes, it's hard, physically challenging, mentally challenging, spiritually challenging, yes. But then also, it also gives an opportunity, I think, to celebrate a lot of more little spontaneous, moments with him that we wouldn't necessarily. Do it with the other kids, like just really truly looking at those little special moments, from like his first walk, which was really late, his first word, which was like 4, almost 5 years old. So all those little things, now when he looks at you, when he says one word that is new, that you kind of take for granted at times, and that makes you kind of think about how much more present we also have to be with the rest of our kids, because they're seeing us, and then they know how much attention we pay to Michael, how much we worry about him, and then now we're have to do that with the rest of them as well.
Look, he teaches us all. Maya's who she is, and Leah, Zaiter, I think of all. I say this all the time. He's our greatest teacher. It's true. He's going through puberty. There's a lot that happens when you go through puberty. And here's what my world
I
is.
guess it's a lot. Like you said, we're going to talk a lot about this when we do this special one. So just make sure we'll let you guys know when that's coming. And not that we have anything specific in mind, but I know all these conversations are going to come in. But it's hard as it is, and imagine with somebody they can't really explain what's going on. But
and then in my world, all I think about is that a special needs child is a soft target. And so, and I get a little crazy about it because I want the other kids to be animals. It's just the way it is. I want them to be dangerous. I want them to know violence. Just being honest, right? I'm not gonna lie.
Thank you for your honest heart,
Well,
you're honest. You want our children to be
dangerous.
Little ninja.
Well, no, I want them to know violence. They have to know that, as Ecclesiastes 3 says, there's a time for everything under the sun. Time to laugh, a time to cry, time to live, a time to die.
Look at the Old Testament.
Time to
every
kill.
character was like fighting everyone.
Well, you have to.
Hey, but that's me. When you talk about, I'm not confrontational when it comes to, words, one thing, and then it won't get me heat up. But don't try to get a little move on me, because that's a little different. When it comes to fregazos, I'm all in. So, yeah.
Yeah, she's a good boxer too. No, but it's true though. You have to be careful. The kids have to know that they have a responsibility too. And all I'm saying is, with a couple, autism becomes your identity, and then you feel guilty if you don't put everything into that child on the spectrum, to the detriment of other kids. That's what we see. We haven't done that, thank God. But I think all these things have been reminders for us, and it's tough. It's a tough battle. You can't do it without the Lord, in my opinion. You can't do it right, at least. And autism, and look, this is just the truth, right? It can steal your joy because you're tired. Yeah. There's a lot going on. You how many sleepless nights?
You kind of always, and it goes for a lot of other different disabilities as well. And parents going through it. You're kind of on eggshells a lot of times, especially with him right now with the situation. Every morning it's a different challenge, and you don't know if he's going to wake up happy or if he's going to wake up screaming or hitting himself or hitting others. And so, you kind of take a deep breath when you go wake him up, and I hear him and I'm like, is he coming down? Is he okay? Is he not? That kind of sets the mood for the rest of your day, which I'm trying to not let that affect me as much as he used to, just because, it's going to be different every time, or it might still be the same. But also, again, I try to find the good in it. Just today was kind of the same thing. I had a mom in one of my classes that talked to me about her son after class that I had no idea he has pandas. So we go there, we've been dancing together. She comes shaking and she looks so happy and stuff. And she told me, it's like, nobody would have ever known, that you go through this, when this is happening at home. And here you are looking like, a happy lady shaking. And I was like, well, this is my therapy. This is what I need to be able to release and to be able to go back home and give it all to my kids and my husband. So, you also created this beautiful community of other parents that are going through the same situation, and they find this little outlets, But yeah.
But Christ has to be one of them. Look,
yes, of course, and that's
the way you deal with things now. As I've seen your maturity and your resolve. There were many times I'd walk in where I'd see Davi just quietly crying. What can I do? I'd go and massage her back or scratch her back. It's tough, type A personality, not to be able to take your wife's burdens away or your children's. That's the hardest part for me.
Yeah.
The hardest part for me is to see Michael when he's hurting and when he's upset, and not being able to do a damn thing except pray for him. Yeah. And that's all we do. And I'll pray for him. And I'll tell you right now, there's been many, many times where I have laid my hands and just prayed on him and asked the Lord to comfort him, and you see him and he calms down. And so, and look.
And just having a community that is also praying for you makes a big difference, because you feel the support and you feel that love and you feel that strength that is coming from the rest of the either mamas or families or parents that are praying for you. either they're going through a similar situation or they're just because, they want to offer you that. And it does make a big difference knowing that you have this whole community behind you that, are sending the prayers.
It makes a difference. But look, you have to date your wife. God willing, we'll be celebrating.
My love, you're going to take me out for a date? Okay.
Yeah, we'll go. Our dates are at HEB or Costco these days.
They are, Edith. See, I don't know if she's watching or not, but Edith always rags on me because we go to HEB at 10 p.m. But that's our date. Like, literally, that's where we go, my love.
April.
I used to love
Good job, my love.
one
Give
on
me
Evans.
thumbs up.
Kenya worked at that one on Evans 281. It would be up till 1 in the morning. And I used to go there all the time at like 12:30 in the morning.
I know.
And
She was
eat.
like, "Who shops at 10:30 at night?"
yeah.
I'm like,
You have
"What
to.
are
You
doing?"
have to date your wife. You have to find time and close your ears to be intimate with your spouse.
Close your ears. Why?
Hey, what
I
is
love
it?
he's a married dude.
Oh, you're married, dude. All right.
Man.
Do what
He's
you
a
want.
married
I still
But-
haven't
dude.
held my wife's hand. I'm still learning, I'm still trying to figure it
Yeah.
out.
But all I'm saying is you have to do all these are things. Davi and I, we made a commitment to work out together 3 days a week. And we've done that. And, just to spend time, just to see each other in the gym, in the garage. Sorry, Jim.
Rafael's like, she's not allowed to take me to Salata.
Who?
That's where he takes me,
Who said that?
Rafael.
Salad.
Our
Rafa
dates
said-
are Rafael, there's Salata.
Marfil?
Yes,
Oh, they're
Marfil.
building that
Silo?
Silo on Evans and
Oh, yeah, I
Boulevard.
saw that. We'll
What?
see
I'm
it.
gonna have to frequent there.
And then we go to
Silo.
sushi is like, the new adventure.
That fool takes his wife to custards or whatever the shit they eat.
My love,
No,
that's
Salata.
adventurous.
Salata, HEB, and
I know
Costco.
the kids even ask, like, Papi, where are you taking it? Don't take her to Salata.
They like it. They like it. Well, look, it's work, but it shouldn't be that much work. Is what I'm saying. It really shouldn't. If you develop and you nurture a good friendship and a good relationship with your spouse, and talk about things, everything, and make time. And intimacy doesn't always have to be sex. Just spending time, watching TV, holding hands.
That's right.
Just hanging out. For us,
Quality time.
yeah, for us, our prayer time is intimacy. Obviously,
Right.
we don't always. I'm not always sleep praying. I know people think I'm always falling asleep while I'm praying.
Not always.
It's not always.
Sometimes.
So many times we have good conversations,
Yeah.
and
And
then
I think we find those moments too,
Yeah.
like just to have those conversations. Either you'll go look for me, I'll go find you as well. So I think we look for those moments where we can have, especially when the kids are in bed or even,
Mm-hmm.
when we'll go to the garage a lot and the kids will be like, where are you guys? Hiding from you.
Yeah.
Because,
or if I'm going to HEB, I'll go with you, or vice versa.
No.
And we'll go to HEB and we just talk and shop, and we'll go to Costco. I mean, and we'll sneak
your
away
date?
for dinner. We sneak away for dinner.
we do, my love.
Maybe a little La Quinta. No, I'm just joking.
We
Take
haven't
it
done
easy.
that.
Take it easy. Take it easy. Well, I don't know, guys.
Invite me over for pancakes.
Look, I just.
Hey, Saulo said that the
April 9th.
April 9th. Well, I mean, I said the date, so you
Oh,
better have that on your calendar. April 9th. That's gonna be the night that we're gonna
It's a
have
Tuesday.
it's a Tuesday night. So that's where we're
perfect.
gonna have the little podcast about autism, and then if anybody wants to come join us, just
Come join us where?
yeah, right here, Mala. We'll have a little
Online.
gathering.
How you know it's going to be here? Salo may have the other studio.
Okay,
where,
well
wherever.
then never mind then. But
Well,
also you can
online.
have custards. You can have get your questions ready or any concerns, complaints, whatever. it is.
Complaints? You complain to my ass? What the hell? I give a shit.
I'm just kidding. No
Oh,
complaints.
okay,
But
no.
no, if you guys have any questions or anything that you might want us to talk about or
about,
hear
yeah.
about or
Yeah.
know about,
I'm sure Salo will put it out there.
Yeah, I think it'll be good. So
He'll
yeah.
promote it. Mr.
Yeah.
Salo.
Can I ask a quick
Nice to-
question?
yes.
Just a marriage question.
Sure.
Because sometimes, like me and my wife, we will hypothetically be like talking about before we started dating, before we were in a relationship, and she'd be like, "Were you interested in anyone else? Or are you talking to anyone else?" Just fun little random discussions, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh," But
Those are
when you
not
guys,
fun
when
discussions.
you guys first met, like, I guess what was that like? The interaction, getting to know each other as just as people.
Well, it was Brian and
Natalie,
were a
Introduced
friend
us.
of ours. I was ready to settle down. I was early 30s.
Not me.
I had never been engaged before. I really, I was still broken from, my brother and I. It was no meaningful relationship that long term. But I was ready at that time. I was going to church. I was studying more. I was reading more. I was asking more questions. I was answering my own questions to the faith. And I remember a friend of mine was gonna say, "Hey, why don't you put you on one of those sites to meet somebody?" Because I don't go to bars. I owned bars. I didn't want to go to bars. You know, I worked in bars before. And I said, "No, I didn't know how to do it. I don't trust it." I mean,
Now, you were the most eligible bachelor of San Antonio when I met you.
I don't know about that one.
Yes, I remember.
My friend Austin met his wife on a dating app.
Well, nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, no,
There's
we have.
nothing- a lot of
But
my
I mean, I
friends
don't
have.
think the apps were as.
No, they weren't. They weren't
I mean,
shit. They
18
were
years
nothing.
ago, that was not something that was, you know.
But I remember Brian saying that Natalie had a friend that was working there because you were working at you still are at
Still at
Lifetime.
Lifetime, yep.
And I said, well, I don't want. Because she doesn't drink. She just goes with her family. She likes martial arts. I said, well, those are 3 pluses. And so then I remember pointing us out. I said, she looks very sweet. She had this vivacious personality. And I said, is that a nose ring? And they said, yeah. And so,
Still there.
and then, yeah. And then
Forget about it.
we met when she was showing a guy that I knew around because she sold memberships at Lifetime.
Lifetime.
You probably were really good at that.
I don't even remember. I mean, I did. I mean, I
don't know.
had fun doing it. I was doing that.
She didn't
I mean,
care.
I had no intention of staying in San Antonio for longer than a few months.
Yeah, because you're
I was just trying to, you know, keep myself busy, make some money, because I was going to
Right, go
Australia.
travel.
Just gotta go
So,
travel.
so I see this guy, his name was Chris. I said, hey, Chris. And it instinctively popped in my head. And I said, oh, that's Davi, that's that girl. I said, hey, Chris, you going to buy a membership from this nice young lady?
and I was
And
like,
then he goes, hey, Nico, yeah. Totally. I'm going to buy you. Of course I am. And then she goes, yeah, are you going to buy a membership?
I was like, dale, right
And I was like,
now. I was
"Dude."
like, commission. I need it. Yeah.
That was it. And then on the way out, did Natalie
Yeah,
pull me in?
Natalie came out and was like, hey, I heard you guys met each other, da-da-da-da. And I was like, oh, yeah. And then right away, she's like, hey, why don't you take her out for a date? And then
Don't you? She goes, you have salsa night at your
yeah,
bar.
you have salsa night your night.
Yeah, we
No,
had a
she's
bar
like, why don't you
back
take
then.
her out for a date or dinner? And she's like, yeah. And she's like, tonight. You have salsa night at your bar tonight. And then he's like, okay. So we ended up, you know, doing that night that we went, you know, salsa dancing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it was interesting. The dynamic was very interesting just because of our personalities. You know, even though we're both very family oriented and just kind of traditional, it would just, you know, he used to be very like hardcore, I think, jealous at the beginning. And I was a little more do. Like, I mean, what do you mean? It's like, you can just, you know, say hello to everybody. Like, you know, because my intentions in my heart, it was like, I was just trying to be friends to everybody.
Yeah.
But in his eyes, you know, which now I can see, you know, how it can be taken. But so we had those conversations very early on just because I knew what I wanted from a relationship and I knew what he wanted.
Well, I never knew someone to be as trusting as her. So I'd be at the bar. I mean, I'm closing down the bar. I mean, I was a lawyer at the time, but I was part owner in a bar, 2 of them, and I'd be there at midnight, 11:30. I'm calling her. I go, you know, I think we said chulo and chula back then too. Maybe I don't remember when we started, but and I was like, okay, chula, and he goes, oh, okay, chulo, I'm tired. I'm call me tomorrow. I was like, what the fuck? Call me tomorrow? I said, there's no way. Her boyfriend owns a
Yes.
bar. And it's midnight. I mean, any other girl would be, call me on the way home. Okay, call me on the way home. Call me tomorrow. And I said, and maybe they.
And you did it for a couple of times, and I was like, okay, I don't need you to call me. I'm gonna be asleep. Just call
She
me
was
tomorrow.
out. But she that was her heart. That's the kind of person she taught me how to trust. I didn't trust anybody, but I didn't trust myself.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I saw. You know.
Yeah, and so you showed me how to trust. You didn't put. She modeled it for me. She modeled confidence in herself. I remember this very clearly, and it was just fascinating to me, and it was intrigued me. At first, I thought it was a bunch of bullshit. I said, "Oh, she's probably up to something," you know, because that's how my mind worked. I'm used to dealing with a bunch of wise guys, and then I was one of them in the past. And so I'm just, you know, I'm being reminded of my old treacherous ways. Yeah.
Yeah, no, and that was his thinking.
Yeah,
like I could
that was
see,
my thinking.
That was his
Someone always
thinking.
trying to get
all
one over on you.
And I was like, and we had to have this conversation. Like, I don't know what type of relationship you've had before, what has happened, not happened, you know, but that's not the way it's gonna go. You know, with us or with me, I'm not sitting around here thinking, what are you doing? Who are you doing it with? Why are you getting? You know, I was just like, I know the conversations we had. I completely trust you.
Yeah, she did.
If that wasn't returned, then we're gonna find out. You know, like it was something that.
Yeah, it was really neat. It was. Look, as I look back at it, she modeled it for me, and it was eye opening for me. So it was a neat journey as I look back at it now. Yeah.
And then right away, it was like, introduce him to the crazy Mexican family that we
And
have.
well, yeah,
It's
and
like
then
a lot of people. Shout out to all the
Papi Cheese
Me.
Hills
Papi
probably
Cheese
My
watching.
wife
and
marries this
there's-
gringo and brings him in, and I'm like,
hello. I know, right? That's what it was for us. And that's what I wanted. I've always been very close to my family, and I wanted that continue and in the relationship and in a marriage. So I wanted to make sure I introduced that right away. Not to say that they were going to come first or it was going to be their way, but it was just the dynamic I wanted. And
Well, it was
how-
old school courtship. So she was living with her parents, her brothers, two brothers, her sister, and her cousin, and another cousin.
it was like literally.
Alonzo.
and we don't
And
know if
Hugo.
it was a cousin or a tia or a...
Yes.
No.
They
There's
were
the
all
difference.
together,
There's
yeah.
a difference. And so,
Everybody.
and it was everybody, and I'd be there, and I'd show up at 10 o'clock because I worked. I trained. I was teaching a class, a fighting class. I owned a bar. I'd come over at 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
Yep.
And then at first it was fun. Oh, Nico's here. And then after a while, I was like, oh shit, we're gonna go to bed.
They're like, "Ya nos vamos a dormir porque
Yeah.
viene Nico."
Yeah,
Bye.
but her mom was, can I cook you
Karaoke
something?
at 3
Oh
a.m.
no, she was. They were hooking me. They were hooking me.
It was fun. It was a fun period of time. And like we said, we dated for 3 months and engaged. And then by 6 months, we were completely married. But a year, we were married twice already. So
And
it was
within a year of meeting each other, we were married twice.
I think we share close enough. Mine's the December 1st. You guys,
Oh, yeah.
July and December was.
yeah.
was
July-
That was it,
December
yeah.
1st.
December 1st. And then it was
July
July 9th.
9th.
No, July 8th.
8th.
You always confuse me because July 9th
Because
is
Amy's birthday. Yeah, Amy's birthday is
I
July
Yes,
don't
9th.
wanna
you
get in
know,
trouble
so,
with my wife.
yeah. So
December
it was the 8th. But then, and there's just you just gonna learn, to communicate. I feel like once you get to know your husband and the way, or your wife, the way they communicate better, or the way that you make it more effective to communicate, then you kind of keep going on that as well because, it came with kids, it came with, with politics, it came with all
Politics.
kinds of stuff after.
What's wrong?
I think Edith is commenting. It's pretty funny.
What's she saying?
She's just.
What did you say?
HEB sells roses too.
HEB sells roses, two birds with
Hey,
no-
Saulo, eso es para ti, ¿eh? Eso es para ti también. Así que llevar unas rosas también.
Nah,
My
it's
love.
good. It's a joy.
He does.
It's
He
a joy.
does.
It's a pleasure being your husband.
My love.
You like that shit?
Yes, my love.
I said, yo, I almost said, you like that shit?
I
There
like
you go.
that, my love. Thank you. You
job.
wanna? Yes.
All right, guys. Well, thank you. Little impromptu. She stepped in. Nobody.
Yes. See, now I was falling asleep now because I had a
Cafecito?
cafecito, which usually doesn't affect me at all. But it's 8:30 at night, and now.
It's 9:30.
Oh, is it? See, I don't even know. And look, yeah, crazy.
So
yeah.
April 9th.
Yes.
April
Tuesday
9th.
night.
Saulo said Tuesday night, April 9th. We'll hear about it. I'm sure it's going to be 7:30 or something or 7. We'll talk to Saulo
We'll stare
about
at the
that.
eclipse and we'll talk about.
Well, that'll be the day before. The world will be over by the 9th, whatever.
You guys, and thank you for John Ale. So good to see you in here. Celia was in here. Robert's in there. All the shout outs, you guys. Thank you for joining and saying hi.
That's right.
My love, thanks for having me. My
Thanks.
love.
Thanks for.
see you in
Thanks
5
for the
minutes.
invitation that I had no idea what we were going to
see
do and
you
talk
after I take out
about,
the
but it's
trash.
okay.
I got to take out the recycle. Hey, God bless you guys. Again, tomorrow's Good Friday. Let's take a moment. Just hope you really think about what happened. What we celebrate tomorrow is Jesus hanging on a cross, naked, beaten, unrecognizable. We'll do another show at one point with George and I. We've done it in the past where we study the historical fact of the crucifixion and what exactly the Romans did to Jesus, what he allowed them to do to him, how he looked, what he went through. There's been scholarly work done on that. And then the empty tomb. I mean, people have to contend with the fact that Jesus Christ was buried in a known tomb, Joseph of Arimathea. That's known. Even non-Christian scholars will admit to that. So you have this known tomb. You have the crucifixion, a known tomb, and then you have an empty tomb. You got to toil with that. And they never found the body. And then you have people that claimed they saw him and then acted like they saw him because they allowed themselves to be tortured themselves and die for it. Lot to talk about on there. So the resurrection is a historical fact. There's evidence to support that. You can have faith in that. So meaning that death doesn't have sting over us, as Corinthians tells us. And we have hope. We have hope in eternity. No matter whatever challenges you go through this life, what Christ took care of on the cross gives us hope. I'll leave you with this. I told the men on Wednesday that there's 4 absolutes, and I heard this from another very famous teacher. There's 4 absolutes I think people look for in society, in the world. We look for absolutes in evil. Look, what's evil so we can avoid it. But what's the definition of evil? Everybody's got a different definition. We look for an absolute in love. We look for absolutes in forgiveness. Like what does forgiveness really mean in the definition of it? And then everybody wants justice, but we don't know what it means. So evil, love, forgiveness, and justice. When you think about it, that's what happened on the cross. All four of those absolutes converged on the cross where Christ hung. Evil was taken care of truly because a perfect law was broken. The propitiation for that breaking of that law, the atonement was given in sacrifice, a perfect sacrifice. Love, the most famous love story, is the love story between the architect of the universe and his creation. Forgiveness, because of what Christ did, we're forgiven. We're set free. We're clean. We're a new creation. We have a renewed mind. We have eternity waiting for us. Injustice. Jesus paid the price for us, so a perfect law was broken, a perfect sacrifice was given. There's atonement for that, so there's justice. God needs justice. I mean, if he's the God of love, there has to be an accounting for breaking a perfect law. All of that converges on the cross. That's what we celebrate, a hope for us, for followers of Christ, that we're all stepping into eternity. Where you spend it is the key. So I hope you'll celebrate the importance of Resurrection Weekend. Don't never be ashamed of it. God bless you. God bless my wife. Thank you, my angel. I love you.
I love you.
And make sure you put on your calendars April 9th. Thank you for joining us.